Happy Cinco de Mayo. I came up to tiny New Hampshire house on Friday the 3rd. The goals for this weekend were to bring up my oven and to fill up my water tank in the basement. So I put the oven in my truck. Been sitting in my garage all winter. I had wanted to bring it up here last fall, but an early snow put a damper on that. So anyway, I got it in the back of the truck, used my hand truck to get it up here. Did a lot of flipping it on its side to get it out of the truck and into the cabin here. But this is approximately where it will go. I've got about 14 inches of lumber behind it. It'll actually go flush against that wall and not stick out so far. In front of the window next to the stove, that'll be a continuation of the counter space. So next year, hopefully next year, I'll put in some nice kitchen cabinets and a nice counter. So the stove has to stop where it is. It can't go any more to the left because that's where my trap door to the cellar is. At least the space is. That will be something I finish probably 2 or 3 years in the future. It's not a priority right now, but that dictates how far over the stove can go. The metal trash can right now is holding lime, grass seed, and weed killer. It's too heavy to go down cellar. I'm going to be using it on this level anyway, so eventually that'll go away, and we'll put the counter there so I can stand in front of that window and prepare food, and stand in front of this window and wash the dishes. So in addition to after pumping water from the well with a 12-volt pump into the storage tank in the cellar, then I hooked up my water pump, and I had to replace this faucet because it froze late in the fall. There was an early freeze. I should have drained the pipes earlier. So that's been replaced. Turn the pump on, turn the water on, so we now have running water again. And the bathroom's behind the door there. Got the toilet working again. If we flip around this way, is the rest of the cabin, which you've seen many times before. Not anything new here. So I'm going to go out now and do some raking, maybe put down some lime in the backyard, and also don't know how much I'll do this trip, but I've got this pile of wood chips in the backyard that I've got half of it spread around so far, and we'll do the rest probably in June. The ground is still wet back there, but it's amazing the wood chips help a lot in the wet area because I can actually walk on it now, especially up by the well where that green piece of plywood is. I can actually walk on it now and not sink into the mud. So those are going to be good, and then we'll use those from the garden too a few years down the road. So this is my yearly pumping water out of the well into the basement. I got my battery here, and down the well is a 12-volt sump pump. I got this hose I mentioned before at Walmart. It's a potable water hose. Just got a deal on that. And then it runs over into the basement. I've got the IBC tote 300-gallon tank in the basement. Actually, I do this several times a year, not just once a year. I had a heck of a job today getting the water flowing. What I ended up doing is I had to take the whole hose and prime it. I brought it downhill here, which is lower than the well. Got the water running, and then put my hand over the end and stuck it down into the tank in the cellar. So this is temporary until I get a nice inverter and AC water pump that will move substantial quantities of water. This thing, it takes about 3 hours to fill up that tank using this little pump. But it beats hauling water in, that's for sure. So here's my water pump. Put a little extension on it with wire so I can get it down in the tank. Just finished here. Put the cover back on. Don't want another instance of chipmunk or squirrel falling into the well like happened last year. So I have to drain the hose out now. Tank's full down the cellar. So it took about 3.5 hours to fill it up. So last year I did not drain the drain lines early enough, and I've got a leaking faucet. So the goal for this afternoon is to replace the faucet. I've just gone down and disconnected the single cold water PEX piping that comes to the faucet. This stub piece here on the counter, that I screw into the hot water side for the time being, in case I turn on the hot water faucet accidentally. I won't get a spray of water on the floor. Installing hot water is a year or two away at the earliest. So I picked up basically the same faucet at the store. So we'll be installing that next. So the sink's all hooked up. Went down, turned on the water pump, and we have running water. Had the pump was cycling a bit, so I went down cellar, and there was a slight leak, and one of the hose clamps connecting to the pump, so I tightened that up. The cycling stopped, so we're good for another season. All right, so that's about it for today. So look out the front door here with no snow. Did some more brush cutting down there in front as well. And I was able to get my truck up where it belongs today. So, this is Tiny New Hampshire House signing off for now. Bye.